Apple dropped their brand new iPhone 17 and I've been testing it out for the past week. And honestly, it's interesting. They made some changes this year that make the regular iPhone 17 feel way closer to the Pro models than it was ever before. But at the same time, there are still some compromises. So in this video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know, from the new design, to the cameras, to the real world battery life, and of course whether it's actually worth upgrading if you already have a recent iPhone. So let's start with the design, because this is what you notice first when you pick up the phone. The iPhone 17 has an aluminum frame with this really sleek color-infused glass back. It comes in a few fun options: black, white, mist blue, sage, and lavender. I've been using the black one and honestly it's my favorite phone color in years. Compared to last year's iPhone 16, the iPhone 17 is a little thinner and lighter, coming out at 177 grams. You can definitely tell it when you hold it. It's not bulky and it feels comfortable even without a case. It has this nice balance of being sturdy but not too heavy. One thing Apple pushed a lot this year is durability. The iPhone 17 uses Apple's new Ceramic Shield 2 on the front, which they claim is more scratch resistant and shatter resistant than ever before. And the back is still glass, but now it's fused directly with the aluminum in a way that's supposed to make cracks less likely if you drop it. I cannot say I'm about to drop test this one on concrete, but from carrying it around in my backpack with my keys for a week, I haven't seen any scratches, so that's a good sign. Now let's talk about the display, because this is one of the biggest upgrades to the regular iPhone 17. For the first time, the standard iPhone gets ProMotion, which means it has this 120Hz refresh rate that was previously just for the Pro models. And honestly, this makes the phone feel way snappier. Scrolling on Instagram, swiping through photos, even just unlocking the phone, everything feels smoother. The screen itself is a 6.3-inch Super Retina display with a resolution of 2622 by 1206, so about 460 pixels per inch. Basically, it's really sharp and clear as you'd expect. But what's new with this year is the brightness. Outdoors, this thing can hit up to 3000 nits of peak brightness, which is crazy. Even in direct sunlight, I had no problem seeing the screen. Apple also added an anti-reflective coating, which they say cuts reflections by about a third compared to last year. I honestly didn't notice this right away. Like when I was filming a video outside, I could actually see myself clearly in the screen instead of just a mirror reflection of the sky. It's one of those little changes that makes using the iPhone more pleasant day to day. Of course, the iPhone 17 still has the dynamic island at the top, which Apple introduced a couple years back. At this point, it's basically standard across all iPhone models. I don't use it all the time, but it's really handy for things like seeing if your AirPods are connected or checking your lift status without opening the app. And yes, the iPhone 17 finally gets the always on display. This was another Pro-only feature before, and I'm so glad it's here. Basically, your lock screen just fades into this dim version that always shows the time, and so you don't have to tap the phone to check. It's not a huge thing, but once you get used to it, it's kind of hard to go back. The big takeaway: this phone is fast, like really fast. Apps open instantly, games run smoothly, and even editing 4K video on the phone feels effortless. Apple also gave the iPhone 17 8GB of RAM, which is actually the same as the Pro models had just a year ago. So it feels like the line between the regular and the Pro models is getting thinner here. Another interesting change is that the iPhone 17 uses Apple's new N1 networking chip, which supports Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread for smart home devices. Wi-Fi 7 is still pretty new, but it's nice to know this phone is future-proof. And yes, the iPhone 17 supports Apple Intelligence, Apple's new AI feature that they showed off earlier this year. Things like rewriting text, summarizing emails, and generating images right on your device. It's definitely still early days for this, but it's cool that even the regular iPhone now gets these features. Battery life is always one of the biggest questions with the new iPhone. So the iPhone 17 has about 3700 mAh battery, and Apple says it can last up to 30 hours of video playback or 27 hours of streaming. In my real world use, which is like a lot of Instagram, Apple Music, some emails, some maps, I've been consistently ending the day with around 35% battery left. That's with about 6 to 7 hours of screen time. So honestly, it's really solid. Charging has gotten a nice upgrade too. With a proper 40-watt charger, you can get up from 0 to 50% in about 20 minutes, which is super fast. It also supports up to 25-watt wireless charging with MagSafe or Qi 2. I tested this with a MagSafe charger and it was noticeably quicker than last year's model. So if you're someone who's always running out of battery before the end of the day, this is going to feel like a big improvement. Okay, let's get into the cameras, because this is where Apple made some really exciting changes. The iPhone 17 has a dual camera system, but now both cameras are 48 megapixels. That's right, even the ultra-wide lens has been upgraded from 12 to 48 megapixels. So you've got a 48 megapixel main wide lens with sensor shift stabilization, a 48 megapixel ultra wide lens, which is amazing for landscapes, group shots, or just getting creative. And Apple also added a 2x optical crop zoom using the main sensor. Basically, it takes the middle of the huge 48 megapixel image to give you a 2x zoom shot that still looks super sharp. In real life, the photos look absolutely great. I took the iPhone 17 outside and the dynamic range was really impressive. You could see all the details on the shadows without the sky getting blown out. The ultra-wide is also way better in low light now. I noticed less grain and sharper details compared to the iPhone 16 and previous models. For video, it's as good as ever. You can shoot in 4K and the stabilization is solid even when I was walking around with it. Now let's talk about the front camera, because this is something Apple really hyped up. It's now an 18 megapixel sensor and it has this cool square design. That means the phone can basically crop into different orientations. So if you're holding the phone vertically, you can still shoot a horizontal selfie video without flipping the phone sideways. It's kind of weird at first, but it's actually super convenient. I tried it when I was making a reel and it's nice not to have to adjust how I'm holding the phone. The front camera also supports center stage, which means it can track you and keep you in frame if you move around during a FaceTime call. And it even lets you record with the front and back cameras at the same time. A couple of other quick things worth mentioning. The iPhone 17 is still IP68 water and dust resistant, so it can survive being underwater for up to 30 minutes. The action button is still here, which you can customize to do things like open the camera, start a voice memo, or turn on the flashlight. And storage now starts at 256GB instead of 128, which I think is a smart move because let's be real, apps, videos and photos are only getting bigger. The iPhone 17 starts at $1,000 for 256GB. If you want 512, it goes up from there. It's definitely not cheap, but it's also not as high as the Pro models, which now starts at $1,300. So if you want the new features without going full Pro, the iPhone 17 actually feels like a really solid middle ground. Alright, so after using the iPhone 17 for a week, here are my overall thoughts. This year, Apple gave the regular iPhone so many of the features that used to be exclusive to the Pro models. The ProMotion, always on display, 48 megapixel cameras, and even the same level of brightness on the screen. And in the battery life and faster charging, and honestly, this is one of the biggest year-over-year upgrades for the base iPhone in a while. That said, if you already have the iPhone 16, the upgrade will not massive and it's probably not worth it unless you really want the better cameras and smoother display. But if you're coming from something like an iPhone 13 or older, the iPhone 17 is going to feel like a huge leap forward. Personally, I love that Apple didn't just hold all the good stuff for the Pro anymore. It makes the iPhone 17 feel like a flagship, not just the cheaper version. So if you've been holding out, this might be the year to finally upgrade. And let me know in the comments, are you planning to upgrade or are you waiting for the Pro model? I'm curious to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.